Ladies and gentlemen, won't you please join us on our cinematic journey as we watch the spectacular and the craptacular. Welcome to Movies with the Man. I'm Murray.
I'm Justin.
And this week we are doing the 1990 film Meet the Applegates.
This movie stars Ed Begley Jr., Stockard Channing, Dabney Coleman, Glenn Shaddix.
The kids are played by Bobby Jacoby and Camille Cooper. These people, you're going to know them from all over the place. Ed Begley Jr. is going to be somebody who's known, you said, St. Elsewhere. I haven't seen St. Elsewhere since I was a kid, so I forgot he was on that show with Mark Harmon.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Denzel Washington.
Oh, I forgot Denzel was on that show, too. Howie Mandel was on that show as well. There was a ton of people on that show.
David Morris was on it. Yeah, a ton of great actors.
I don't know if Howie Mandel is a great actor, but yeah.
We'll lump him in.
Stockard Channing, people are going to know her as Rizzo from Grease.
She was also in The West Wing. She played the First Lady.
And then you got Dabney Coleman, who plays Aunt Bee in this movie, and he's in everything during the late 80s and early 90s, it seemed like, for me.
Best known for the movie 9 to 5, War Games, Tootsie, and You Got Mail.
And Glenn Shaddix, I know he played Otho in Beetlejuice, but I know he's shown up in a lot of other stuff.
Also played Associate Bob in Demolition Man. One of my favorite.
Oh, yeah, I forgot he was, I forgot that he's in Demolition Man.
One of my favorite movies.
Oh, that movie is amazing. So, this movie is not available to stream anywhere. You can't even rent it.
It's one of those movies that it's been erased.
You can find DVDs online. That's how we were able to watch it, because I have one.
Yeah, you have to go on eBay.
Yeah, so this movie bombed magnificently when it came out.
Budget was $5 million, and worldwide gross was less than $500,000.
So Rotten Tomatoes critic score is 9%. The Rotten Tomatoes audience score is 49%.
Now you're asking yourself, 9% out of 10? No, out of 100.
Yeah. Google is... This is the one that made me laugh because I couldn't believe it was this high. 72% of people like this movie.
You're kidding me.
No, Google's always high. Amazon is 5.5, which was really like, no, that can't be right. Amazon only goes to 5. So I don't know what I wrote here. But I'm sure, no, it's 3.5. Excuse me. I don't know how to read my own handwriting. Just Watch didn't have anything on it because, well, it's not available anywhere. And Letterboxd has it at a 3, and IMDb has it at 5.5, which really surprised me. That's not horrible for IMDb scores, especially for a movie that's completely unknown by, I'd say, 95% of people.
Yes, I never saw this movie when it first released.
Oh, this is a movie that I remember being on your pay channels like HBO all the time. That's where I remember it from, and I just happened to just catch it one time just randomly.
I can't even remember if it played locally in the theaters. It's been so long ago, but it was a movie that quickly came and went without much fanfare.
So,
also directed by Michael Lehman.
Yes,
best known for directing Heathers. That's his big hit, and he also directed Hudson Hawk, his big flop.
I like that movie. Other people don't. I might be the only person who likes that movie. So here's the IMDb description. Modeling themselves after an idyllic cookie-cutter suburban 1950s family, a colony of insects moved from South America into the United States with the intent of getting access to the nation's nuclear resources. They leave out the fact that they're also like 8 feet tall.
Right. Roughly human-sized insects.
Yeah, they are.
They look like praying mantises when they don't have their disguises on.
So the movie starts out in the jungle of the Amazon. I don't know if they're missionaries or whatever they are, reading Dick and Jane.
That's what I'm guessing.
They're trying to teach this tribe English.
The local indigenous tribe.
And while they're doing this, there is construction going on where they're destroying the Amazon rainforest. And that's kind of the whole point to why they come to America. They're coming to destroy humanity by destroying the nuclear plants because they know they'll survive a nuclear holocaust, but
humans won't.
Yeah. And they come out, they attack the construction workers, and then that's where they find the Dick and Jane book.
Right. Yeah, they find the book that says Dick and Jane and Sally.
Which somehow, by them just finding a Dick and Jane book, they're able to learn English, figure out how to get all the way to America, learn how to drive. There's so many things.
They learned everything.
There's so many things they can do.
And did you notice that when they find the Dick and Jane book, there's also a half-eaten Butterfingers, so I'm guessing that's where their love of Butterfingers
Yeah,
came from.
and where are they getting these Butterfingers is what I was trying to figure out. They just got
cases and cases of Butterfingers.
from the local Amazon convenience store right off the river.
Exactly. They don't show how this family gets to America, but they plop them right down.
They're moving into the house, and it starts off with a neighbor played by Glenn Shaddix. His name's Greg. And he comes over to meet them because his dog ends up trying to attack their dog, which their dog is also a bug in disguise. And when they're over there, the dog startles the wife and she knocks over a box that's got like 800 Butterfingers in it.
Yeah, a moving box. So those are pretty large. You just filled to the brim with Butterfinger candy bars.
Yeah. So then we're treated to scenes of them basically preparing to be human.
Right. And they're treating it like they're a military outfit. Ed Begley Jr. is barking orders.
And here's what I found amusing is that how they're studying to be human is the kids are watching a soap opera on TV. The mom is reading Good Housewife magazines. And then we show the dad trying to hack into the government system so he can put them in the census database. But my favorite part of that, how do they know how to use computers?
Right.
Did you notice the title of the book he's reading when he's trying to hack into the place?
No, I saw he was reading the book, but I couldn't
paused
make
it. The book is called How to Access Unauthorized Sources.
Well, that explains everything.
I'm glad they just got a book on how to hack. Like just in 1990,
yeah,
no
1990
less.
hacking.
Yeah, so he ends up putting them in the system as the most perfect family.
Takes him less than an hour. I mean, he's got it mastered.
Then we go from there to where the dad's applying for a job at the nuclear power plant that he wants to tear down.
Right. They don't want to just tear it down. They want it to melt down.
The meltdown, yeah. Sorry. Next, we have the daughter at the school where she meets the popular kid.
Yeah, interesting enough, she's like hanging out with the group of Heathers.
But she's hanging out with girls already. And I'm like, you just started school and you already have a group of girlfriends? I know I'm nitpicking. This is where we meet Greg's son, Vince Sampson. He runs up to Sally and says, I'm Vince Sampson, voted best hair in the senior class. And then kind of swipes his hand across his hair. And it gets better because after they talk and whatever, he goes back to his friends. And, oh, wait a minute. I forgot to mention this part too. When he goes, oh, you must be our new neighbor. He goes, oh, my dad didn't say we had such a tasty new neighbor. Why would his dad say that to him about a young girl? Then he goes off to his friends and he's like, so what's the new girl? And he goes, I don't know, but she needs her temperature taken with an all beef thermometer. As much as I would like to say this is ridiculous, I can't say it's that far removed from how teenagers actually act and talk.
Right.
Because I can see my friends having said something this dumb back then.
And it gives you a hint of where Vince is going because he does some pretty scummy stuff.
Oh, yeah. Vince is
piece of crap.
Now, while he is a douchebag, I do love a scene later in the movie that kind of tries to paint him as not a douchebag, and I thought it was hilarious. We see Johnny at school where a friend of his that he has, like, again, they already have friends. And so the timeline in this movie kind of moves fast, I noticed. It doesn't seem like a lot of time, but a lot of time goes by.
It feels like it's their first day at school.
Yeah, but I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it is at all.
Because they're both already entrenched in friend groups.
Yeah, because then these two twin dudes, these two twins come up, which, by the way, they have curly mohawks. This is the worst haircut I have ever seen of anybody in my life.
But it's classic late 80s, early 90s.
And so they come up and they start bullying Johnny about smoking cigs, and he knows that only 2% of 2.5% of 15-year-olds smoke cigarettes, and they're like, we thought you were in the metal. Apparently you can't be smart and be in the metal.
The friend that Johnny is first hanging out with, he's another nerdy looking guy
and is never seen again after this, by the way.
They're busy burning earthworms, which is great.
A serial killer in the making is what that sounds like to me.
I did read though that was not a real earthworm. That was, they used
it looked real.
It did. It looked really.
So they say.
Yeah.
This is where we meet Dabney Coleman's character, Aunt B. And I thought this introduction was perfect because he's at a phone and you're very confused because you're like, why is a man dressed up as a woman and why are they calling him Aunt B? It started making me question, is Aunt B really a woman, or is Aunt B a male bug pretending to be a woman because the hormone thing, or is Aunt B somebody who went through menopause and now her hormones are all messed up because she's old?
Yeah, I took it as Dabney Coleman's character is the queen of the hive.
Yeah. The other thing I loved about the scene is some random construction worker walks by and pinches her butt. and his response when he yells at them, Ed Begley Jr. on the phone says, "What happened?" He goes, "Oh, some human tried to rape me." And I was like, what? So while this is going on, while he's talking, they're getting dinner ready. This is the most ridiculous dinner I've ever seen in my life. It's a pound of sugar grinded down with Butterfingers. And for dessert, they're having a wooden stool that they refer to as chocolate. I couldn't figure out what the syrup that was they were pouring all over everything. I don't know if that was actual chocolate. And then it was
Aunt Jemima.
No. It wasn't. Oh. They were pouring syrup on the stuff and drinking the Aunt Jemima stuff as if it was water.
Yeah, then
because later on you can see straws in their drinks because later on they take a drink right out of the bottle with the straw.
And then the mom says, "Kids, I hope you save some room for dessert."
Yeah.
I went dumpster diving and got some garbage.
I thought it was really well done to like emphasize these are bugs, and it was just ridiculous.
And the family unit is still together at this point. They still have their common goal, which won't last for too much longer.
And this is where you start seeing all the issues they're going to be running into as humans. You get the scene where Dick is trying to save a fly and not kill it. And then his boss walks in and ends up smashing the bug, which Dick is upset about. And then you also get Johnny in school being forced to create a bug collection.
Right.
Which I thought was amusing when he was sitting on the couch later. And he's supposed to pin the bug to the thing, but the bug is sitting there screaming because he can obviously understand the bug.
And the sister's saying, "Don't be such a wimp, just do it."
And he's like, "Well, why don't you do it?" She's like, "If I had to, I would." It was like, okay. So
Sally really, the Sally character really likes the bully, the Johnny character, the younger brother. So it's kind of realistic as a older sibling, younger sibling.
100%.
Dynamic.
And so from here, they end up going to a church picnic.
Yes.
And so lots of things go on at this church picnic. For one, this is where Vince and Sally kind of start messing around a little more, which I enjoyed that she bites the crap out of him. And then later on, he has like a giant mosquito looking bite on his...
And he says, "What is that?" And he says, "Oh, must have been stung by a mosquito."
Yeah. And what makes this whole scene entertaining is Jane brings a pie that the preacher ends up eating and barfing immediately after he eats it.
The pie looks delicious. Looks like a
chocolate pie or something like that. I'm assuming it has 10 pounds of sugar in it. That's the problem. And then when they're sitting down, they're sitting with Greg, and they learn that he's an exterminator.
Right.
So obviously they're immediately uncomfortable. But then he has this sonic bug repeller that he turns on.
That was terrific.
And that scene is amazing because it makes these alarms that are super loud that we can't hear, but bugs can. So as they
it's driving them nuts.
Yes, they can hear it and they're going bonkers.
And so it switches from Greg, the exterminator. When he's talking, it's all silent. But when it looks back at Dick and Jane,
it's going bong, bong, bong.
Yeah, the alarm's going off, and they look just like they're about ready to die.
So then we get the scene where Sally says she's going to the mall. She's really going out to go hang out with Vince. And they make her take her brother. She ends up dropping him off in the middle of nowhere.
Makes him walk home.
Which his walk home was amazing because he's walking home and as a car drives by, he sticks his thumb out to hitch a ride and then they all just throw trash like beer cans and all this stuff all over him. And dude, the way they filmed this whole scene where he's like shooting hoops to look all cool to her and she's just sitting there.
Oh yeah, when she looks at him shooting hoops, he's like in slow motion.
Yeah.
Hitting a turnaround jumper.
And then he gets up on the trampoline that they're on and then it turns into it turns into a sexual assault.
Vince gets a little rapey.
Yeah, no, not a little. It's sexual assault. And during the process, she starts freaking out and turns into a bug and then puts him into what I call a goo cocoon. And then she hides him in her closet. And later on, she will take him downstairs to hide it. Doesn't she hide him downstairs? Because I know the brother ends up hiding his downstairs. We'll get to all that stuff.
Believe it or not, it's not the last person that gets cocooned.
I did find it amusing that the next morning that they are arguing over what actually happened the night before because Johnny tries to tell on her, but she lies and says Johnny ran off, and then they believe her, and he gets in trouble.
He got grounded.
Even though she ditched him. They end up having a town hall meeting because of the kids missing.
Yeah, because Vince is missing.
And I love how the dad says, now no one is safe because if this can happen to a good kid like my Vince, right after we just watched him commit sexual assault.
Right.
And then the mom gets up and she starts crying about how her son is such an angel.
Would never harm a fly.
One of my favorite parts of this whole thing, and you don't even realize how good this joke's going to be later, because the setup where the sheriff gets up there and he says the important thing is not to become hysterical. This is an isolated incident, so there is no need to panic. And the parents start arguing with him about, no, it's time to panic. And you have to keep in mind that the sheriff told him not to panic, because more people later on end up disappearing. And he says, I may have underestimated. It's done so well, like the way it cuts to it.
Yeah, I didn't jot down the name of the actor that played the sheriff, but I really liked him too.
Oh, yeah.
Did you catch later on, he's still investigating Vince's disappearance, and he's talking to the daughter, Sally.
When she makes up the Larry guy?
She makes up a story about him going to Akron or Dayton to meet a guy.
Get beer with some Larry guy.
And the sheriff says, you don't suspect him of anything homosexual, do you?
Oh man, that's another thing. That's another sign of the times in this movie, because they drop some derogatory terms for gay people in this movie.
Yep.
Going back to that town hall meeting, some things I want to point out is that the twins show up and convince Johnny to steal $200 from his dad so they can double his money. He has no idea why, but the part I loved about this scene is when they're like, just steal it from your dad. And he says, no way, my dad will excrete a brick. That's the stuff I love about this movie, dude, is like the little jokes like that if you're not paying attention, you wouldn't realize what he just said.
And the humans, it goes right above them, goes right over them.
So the next day, Sally is sitting in a car picking up her brother, and her friends pull up to talk about Vince. And one of the friends looks over at her and says, I bet some pervos got him tied up with barbed wire, juicing his testicles with an electric cattle prod if they haven't wasted him already. What a thought. Yeah. What is wrong with this person? Right. This is where they went with this.
Their mind immediately goes to the darkest scenario.
And then from there, this is where the movie, I think, really, like, you've seen the corruption. Like, the daughter is kind of like corrupted on humans, like she's particularly men, by what happened. But now we're about to witness the corruption of the mom, because we start going to where you catch her digging in the trash. And then some woman shows up, which, did they ever introduce this character earlier? Like, we're supposed to just know who this woman is.
Did they meet her at the
town hall meeting? Or somewhere. I don't know, because her name's Opal. And she shows up, and apparently while she was digging through the trash, her car was towed. How did she not notice this big truck towing her car? It's not a quiet process.
And this lady pulls up behind her and is like, hey,
shopping for bargains?
Yeah, you bargain shopping
Yeah.
in the dumpster.
And so she takes her shopping, and she has no money, so she convinces her to get credit cards. And she goes bonkers. Yes. I don't know if you noticed, but it looked like she got one card that was $1,000 and blew it all in one day.
Yes.
Because her card was already getting declined later that night. And she's like, no, I have $1,000 on this card.
Yeah. Same thing is happening to the friend. Her card gets declined.
So she's got 30 others.
Yeah, she just unfolds them like a deck of cards. She's like, hey, try this one.
And because of the friend, the mom starts drinking.
Yes.
And so this is also where we learned that Dick's secretary seems to want him. Yes. And then when Dick thwarts her advances, she gets all upset and acts like he's being ridiculous.
After that first interaction with his secretary, you can tell he's a little hot and bothered, because he goes home that night and he wants to have sex with his wife.
Yes.
And she's like, it's not mating season.
So the way things start out, when Jane finally comes home, Dick is angry because there was no dinner on the table when he got home. And I loved what he said. He said, there's no dinner, so the kids and me had to eat the morning paper.
I gotta admit, I did not catch that one.
Yeah. And then while they're arguing and fighting, the twins show up and knock on Johnny's window, and no one hears them crawl in the house. They come in and tell Johnny that they bought weed with his money.
Johnny asks, hey, do you have my money? It's like, no, we didn't get cash.
He's like, we got something better.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. They just start smoking in his room, and nobody notices that they're smoking weed in his room. I guess maybe the parents, since they're bugs, they wouldn't be familiar with the smell. I don't know.
I think it's more that they're all just consumed in their own little world.
They're humans 5 minutes into being humans.
Yes. They are all four of them are totally being corrupted by the human race.
Yeah. So, dude, they had no willpower. None of them. They had zero. They were not prepared at all.
Dick shows a little, but it fades pretty fast.
So when they're smoking, Johnny turns into a bug because the weed makes him kind of like
he loses control.
Yeah. And the twins start screaming and whatever, and they're like, "Oh my God, he's gonna eat us!" And then it cuts to them putting up a missing poster of the two twins, and then that's where it cuts to the sheriff saying, "I may have underestimated the seriousness of the situation." It says, "I'll admit I underestimated the problem at first." So this is what I love is that the preacher comes out and says, well, it costs money to put people on milk cartons. And so they come up with the idea that they're going to put on a charity play. One of the people says, my husband wrote a play. It's about peace, love, brotherhood in the free market system.
What is it called? I can't remember.
I can't remember the name of the play either. I forgot to write it down.
It's like Yay for People or something.
Yeah, it's something dumb like that.
A play off the Up With People movement from the 80s. And that whole idea, we're going to solve everything by putting on a show. That's straight out of the 50s.
Oh, yeah. And then that's where Dick came home and he wants sex and they argue over all that. And that's where Jane goes downstairs and tries to buy something on TV and we find out that her card's already getting declined.
Did you catch what she said when she tries to use the Discover card? And they won't take it. And she's like, well, I'll let you know.
No, I wrote it down because I'll have you know that over 300,000 businesses accept the Discover card. And then she slams the phone down super hard. Like I told them. And then what I thought was one of the best jokes in the movie is where Dick finds that Nature magazine or whatever it is.
Scientific American.
Yeah, and it's got bugs mating on it. So he takes it into the bathroom so he can go take care of himself. Then we see a scene where Sally's in a therapy group, and in the therapy group, she tells him that she's pregnant. And they're like, well, you're not even showing. And then she unties her stomach, and then it just
makes her stomach
inflate. Yeah, like a balloon, because she's, 3 months? Is that what she said she was?
And Sally is very angry.
She hates men. And that's where you learn in this scene where she gets all upset and says she can't stand men. And then the leader, or the person who's the head of this therapy group or whatever it is, she hates men too. They end up becoming a thing, apparently. And this is where we go to the scene where Aunt B is trying to get a boat ride in the Amazon. And what it is Dabney Coleman with his leg up. He's got stockings on, and he's trying to act all sexy. So this guy would bring his boat over to the dock.
And he's got his head turned away from the camera, so you can't see his face.
Because he still has a mustache, mind you.
Yeah, it looks like a woman with her leg up, like the old Marlene Dietrich pulling her
to attract a man.
Yeah, to get a
ride.
Pull over to get a ride, and then he turns and you see it's Dabney Coleman, mustache and all.
And that dude takes off like a bullet after he swipes his hand through his hair because he thought he was going to hit on her. And then the way he gets a boat is he throws one of his own people into the piranha infested water and lets them get eaten, and then attacks the next guy who comes up to try to save the person.
Which I find it interesting that the rest of the crew is having such a hard time getting to America. Yeah,
that's what I didn't understand how Dick and Jane got there with no problems, and they're struggling to get there. And this is the part where Sally ends up talking to the cop and making up the story about Vince and the other guy from another town. And then we see a scene where Jane gets some mail and rips it open real fast and then holds another credit card up against her chest. She's so excited just to have another one. So from here, Dick tries to sneak into the schematic room of the nuclear power plant and steal the schematics so they can do what they need to do. And he didn't get it, right?
No.
Okay, yeah, he doesn't get it because his boss ends up walking into the room, and then he has to sneak out. And in the process of doing this, he left his clothes in an area like that he thought was. He didn't even hide them.
Right.
Like he just left them out in the middle of nowhere so somebody could find them. Well, the janitor found them and picked them up and threw them in his basket and left. So now Dick is stuck here naked in the middle of the power plant, and
the janitor misses one sock, so he picks the sock up and puts it in a...
And I thought they filmed this scene marvelously because it shows him running through the entire plant butt naked and running through everything just as everybody is looking away from him. And he manages to get through the whole building without anybody seeing him.
And back to his office.
Back to his office, only to have his secretary be in the office and catch him naked. And then she, well, basically sexually assaults him. And he just eventually, all right, and just goes along with it. Now, what I thought was amazing about what happens next is him going home and just having the lipstick all over his lips still when he's sitting at the dinner table, and no one notices. He somehow
found another suit because he has a new suit on.
Yes,
but his tie is all disheveled.
Yeah,
his hair is mussed up, and he just looks rather disheveled.
So then we're treated to Johnny going down to the basement and getting high and blowing smoke in Spot's face, which causes Spot to turn into a giant like beetle thing that flies through the air and then breaks through the window and leaves the house. The next morning, the neighbor's dog walks in the house with Spot. Greg grabs Spot, then Greg ends up smashing Spot on the ground, and he sees that it has Spot's collar on it. What I think is amazing is that he uses this as an excuse to go talk to the Applegates, because he came up with the theory that this bug ate Spot, and that's why it has the collar on it. And when he's bringing this up to Sally, he's like, hey, how come you told him Vince is a homo? Yep. And I was just like, oh my God. And she tells him to F off. The face he makes when she tells him to F off, I was like, amazing. And then we're treated to Jane at the bank. And that scene I thought was incredible, because you learned that she's maxed out all her credit cards, refinanced the house. Yep. They're bankrupt.
And that's what the banker tells her. We're going to start repossession next week. And she's like, can I have my card back now?
Yeah. And she goes, pretty please? Yeah. And then I like how when she gets up, she goes, I'll have you know, there are other banks in this town and they would love to have me as a customer. And I was like, no, they wouldn't. No. So then she goes shopping with Opal again and tells Opal that she's trying to cut back on her spending. And she's not. She just starts stealing.
Yes. So she turns to a life of crime.
Yeah. And so then we get Dick cheating with his secretary again. They accidentally hit the intercom and it blasts their escapades across the entire building.
As the plant manager is giving a tour.
Yeah. So Dick gets fired, and then the secretary starts telling him that she's going to blackmail him. So Dick's response is to goo cocoon her. Right. So now he's got it, and then he hides her in the liquor cabinet. This is where Dick comes home and has the lipstick kisses all over his face.
And she smashes him with something.
I laughed so hard at this scene. She grabs like a bottle or something, smashes it on his head. And this dude goes, what did I do, you crazy? Bruh. I laughed so hard at that scene. It was done so well. The timing and everything was perfect.
Hey, Ed Begley Jr. has some of the best lines, and his delivery is just terrific.
So Greg, after finding the bug, goes to the sheriff and to tell them that, and this is what he tells them. He thinks that the Applegates brought bugs as part of a satanic ritual, or maybe they're communists.
One or the other.
And that's when the sheriff says that they wouldn't hurt a fly. And the next scene when it cuts is to the mom robbing the gas station.
And she's got a fake mustache.
Yeah. And she takes off down the road, and her car fits a description, and she's speeding. So the sheriff pulls her over. Sheriff discovers the gun and the money. Now she goo cocoons him. And this is where we end up with her putting the sheriff in the basement. And Johnny, because he heard noise, he comes downstairs. Ed Begley Jr. or Dick realizes there's something going on downstairs. He comes downstairs, discovers Johnny's goo cocoons, and then they discover the mom's down there. So basically, it gets revealed that everybody has stuff except Dick and Sally at this point. And
do they not find Vince?
Sally just admits that she kidnapped Vince. The mom says she's going to go have a drink, and Dick's like, yeah, of course, go back to the bottle. Yeah. And then as she's running up the stairs, he realizes, oh crap, my cocoon's in the liquor cabinet.
That's right.
So he goes up there and tries to stop it, and she ends up seeing it too. And he goes, I was trying to find the right time to tell you. Oh man,
he's great. He goes from being a total ass whenever someone else has made him bad, but when his mess ups are discovered,
he tries to blow him off.
Are you mad at me?
Yeah. He tries to act like I didn't do anything wrong. This is where Sally shows up, and you learn that she's become a lesbian because she's now dating her therapist. What I love about this scene is they're all fighting with each other. This is where she walks in, and Dick realizes she's pregnant, and he's like, "What the hell?" and they they're all fighting and arguing, and Johnny just sits down on the couch and just starts smoking weed right in the middle of everything. And they're like, "What are you doing?" And he says, "This is the only way I can cope, Dad."
Do you remember what he says to Sally? Hey, Butch.
Oh, yeah. And they're fighting so loud that the neighbors can hear him. And it shows Greg and his wife like listening to them. And then it pans and he's got Spot mounted up on his wall.
That's so great.
And then we cut to B trying to call them. And since they've been bankrupted, their phone is disconnected. And then it cuts back to their house and they're laying on the floor because all their stuff has been repossessed. And then somebody knocks on the door and they jump up in the air and they're all scared. And it ends up being these two guys from Family Bazaar magazine. Because of the way Dick filled out the census papers when he hacked into the government stuff, it made them look like the most normal family in the country. And when these guys walk in, Johnny's high. Yeah. The daughter walks in.
The daughter just looks like a mess.
Pregnant. And they're like, and they say, if she's as ripe as she looks, then this is off. Yeah. And then they get into a pushing match with Sally. And they end up knocking Sally on the ground. And she ends up in labor and an egg sac comes out of her. And I don't know why, but one of the guys just smashes it.
And then after that, he's like, "We've made a mistake. We're going to leave
he goes,
now."
"Right. We'll be leaving now." Yeah. And then they get goo cocooned.
You're right. I love it, though, when they first walk in and they start realizing something's off. And he's like, "Where's all your furniture?" And Jane's like, "We're remodeling."
So they decide that they needed a vacation. They need to get out of here. And the guys, as part of the contesting, had brought an RV. I'm assuming they won the RV as being the winners of this contest. They decide to take the RV and go out in the wilderness and camp and whatever and have a good time. As they're driving off, Aunt B pulls up right at the same exact time.
And Dick specifically says, we got time to do this. They won't be here for
Brazil.
weeks.
Yeah, they think she's still in Brazil.
And they've made no bones about it. Aunt B has said, if you don't complete your mission, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. And while they're on vacation, they decide to help the humans because they've pretty much become human themselves in a way. They realize
they've walked in human shoes.
Yes, and they realize that they're not so much different from them, which they explain later in the movie.
The family really comes back together and bonds.
That's when they come home, discover that B has been digging a tunnel from their house all the way to the nuclear power plant, which got me to questioning how long they had been gone. Because I was like, how long is this tunnel? How far away do they live? I know these are things that most people don't think about, but that's what went through my mind. B ends up cocooning them, which irritated me because I was like, well, based on your rules, you should be unconscious now.
Right. But they weren't.
But none of them are. And I thought, okay, they're bugs. Maybe it doesn't affect them the same way. While they're in the cocoons, B makes Dick write a check so he can go buy explosives.
And he's like, there's no cash in the account.
He's just going to bounce.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. What I found amusing, too, is when Dick's hand was like out when he gave him the checkbook, and then Dabney Coleman just shoves his hand right back into the cocoon. And B leaves, and because of Dick being able to move around like that, he realizes he can get loose, and he ends up putting his head out the window and screaming at Greg across the street. And then he tells Greg that, hey, Vince is in here. And
that gets them.
So that gets him to come in there, and they realize, hey, they are all in here. And then that's where we cut to him holding them at gunpoint at the town hall, which I love how easy it is for them to get everybody to the town hall in this town. Like, everybody just goes.
And I got to say, up to this point, up until the interrogation scene there, I thought if you were cocooned, you were dead.
At this point, I didn't know if they were dead or just unconscious. But then I started questioning the logic behind this. What are they eating during all this time? Right. What are they drinking during all this time?
I guess we're supposed to think that once they're in this cocoon, they're in a stasis.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're really overthinking. It
seemed more plausible that they'd just been dead.
We're overthinking this, but, you know.
Yeah.
So while they're there, they start stringing up Dick to hang him. And he gives this big speech about how, like, you're just like us. We care about our kids. We care about this, but they don't care. They're just like, they're going to hang him.
This big emotional speech is supposed to bring everyone together, and it just doesn't
some
work.
Old lady yells, string him up or something like that, and they decide they're going to hang him anyway. But just then the power starts flickering, and as it happens, Dick grabs the sheriff and
tells him what's going on.
And then they all disappear, and then it cuts to the sheriff driving them to the nuclear power plant.
Which is currently glowing.
Yeah, so
they get in there, and it's a big for this movie, a big action scene, and it comes down to Dick fighting Aunt B, and Dick dumps a computer terminal on Aunt B.
Okay, so here's some things about this whole scene that I was very confused by. So Aunt B is in there destroying all the panels to make everything mess up and all that other stuff, and then roars real loud as it's going like that. Below in the captions, it says radiate, radiate. And then that's when Dick walks in, as you know, he's a bug now, and they do some like ritual looking fighting stuff, like they're going to fight each other. And then they just start spitting on the ground. And it made no sense because neither of them are actually spitting on each other. So I didn't know what was going on and why they were doing it. And how Dick gets the best of Aunt B is that he walks behind one of the computer panel things, and Aunt B approaches him, slips on the spit, and then that's when he pushes the panel down on him, squashing him.
Squashes him.
Now,
like a bug.
Now, yeah. Now Dick goes over to the panels and tries to stop the place from melting down. And I don't know if you noticed this, but apparently nuclear power plants are controlled by unlabeled buttons, random lights, and levers that have no purpose or anything on it. And I did like, though, that once he got all the stuff to calm down on the machine, that he put his hands in the shape of a praying mantis, and he was actually praying. And he was saying, cool down, or whatever it was.
And then it goes to black, and
it cuts to the jungle.
Right.
Which, when it cuts to the jungle, we've got the sheriff, Opal, and Greg on a boat being taken to visit them in the jungle, and it turns out they're coming down there to live with them to help them save the rainforest. Mm-hmm. And you find out that Jane's now the
queen.
The queen. You find out that Sally's having lots of kids with her drone friend that we meet. Johnny's clean now.
Yeah, they said he's 3 months of clean. The townspeople are dressed up in like safari gear with the.
I forgot about their hair.
Yeah, and then they pull off their hats.
They said a little radiation did leak out. They're all missing hair. And then it ends by showing Aunt B in a wheelchair. Dabney Coleman's going down the road, having a conversation with the roach.
Still alive.
About how they can still take over the world.
Yep. He's got one of those Madagascar hissing cockroaches on his arm, and they're having a conversation.
I couldn't have done it. I'd have been like, that bug can't be on me. I'm sorry.
And it's funny, as he's rolling away, his one leg is in a cast, but it's a praying mantis leg.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Wow.
And when he spits on a sign for the Family Bazaar ad talking about the Applegates.
Oh, and it's like acid.
Yeah, it starts melting the sign.
Which I was like, is that what they were trying to do earlier? Were they trying to spit acid on each other?
If they weren't, they should have been.
That would have made way more sense than what happened. So that's the end of the movie. Justin, out of 5, man, what do you give this?
I enjoyed this movie a lot. I would rank it probably because of my enjoyment factor, I'd give it a 4 out of 5.
It's a 4 for me. This is the second time I've watched it in the last 2 weeks, and the second time watching it was even better than the first. I am completely in awe that people don't like this movie. Don't get me wrong, there's some continuity issues. It has some storyline issues.
It's not a great made movie.
But it's funny.
It's one of those rare movies that gets better on the rewatch.
Oh, I agree, because you
start catching all the little jokes.
And there's, dude, I guarantee there's stuff that I probably missed.
I have one thing. This is when the Family Bazaar people show up. The kids have disappointed Dick, and he just yells out, "Meet the Applegate kids, a couple of losers."
Yeah. That was good. Yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah.
But yeah, on a rewatch, you get to catch all the little jokes that you missed.
One of the things I didn't catch the first time I watched it is like I never realized that how she got the credit cards was that the friend said, just tell him you work for, what's it called?
Mary Kay.
Yeah. Tell him you make $50,000 a year. Yeah. Any normal human being on this earth knows no one makes $50,000 a year selling Mary Kay.
Especially in 1990.
Yeah, man, you would have been rich in 1990.
But yeah, so you give it a 4 as well?
Oh yeah. It's a good movie. If they ever re-release this in a way that like people can stream it or buy it, or if you find somewhere that you're able to get it, it is worth watching.
Absolutely.
It's greatly entertaining. Don't expect, some high quality cinematic experience. Just expect to laugh and have a good time. It's a dumb popcorn movie.
That's what we're saying. If you watch this movie, don't expect Citizen Kane or The Godfather.
No.
It's just a good little funny movie.
Everybody in it is great in their roles. The story's not bad. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you can find it somewhere, or just go get the DVD.
Maybe we're gonna start the the wave of support for this movie that brings it back.
Yeah, we're going to bring it back. It's not going to be bring back the Snyder Cut. It's going to be bring back the Applegates.
That's right.
All right,
we
folks.
Can do it.
That's the end of our show. Goodbye.
We hope you enjoyed the show, but it's time for